Hey BookTube! I am the Book Mage, welcome back to my channel. So today, classic end of year video, I'm going to be giving you guys a rundown of every single book I read in 2023, as well as the rating that I gave that book. Just to preface as well, since I am still doing some of my end of year reading, like I don't just stop reading in December. Some of these books I haven't had a chance to talk about yet, and some of them I haven't had a chance to rate yet, so I'm currently reading at least one book right now, and depending on when I finish that, I might read maybe at least another book by the end of December, which obviously won't be here because I'm filming this ahead of that, so it's the same every year for me, but like, there's the reminder. So without any further ado, let me run down the... how many books? Okay, if we're counting DNFs and also my current read, then 53 books. Let me just like scooch to make way for the JPEGs. I am not holding these books up, by the way, like I don't want to dig them out and find them, so to Google Images I go. So the books that I read in 2023 in the order that I read them are The Calling by David Gader, 4 stars. The Tale of the Tailor and the Three Dead Kings by Dan Jones, 2 stars. Voices by David Elliott, 2 stars. Artificial Condition by Martha Wells, 4 stars. Red Seas Under Red Skies by Scott Lynch, 5 stars. Raven Cry by Ed MacDonald, 4.25 stars. If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio, 4 stars. The Butcher and the Wren by Elena Urquhart, DNF. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin, 2.5 stars. Macbeth by William Shakespeare, 4 stars. The Cat Who Saved Books by Sosuke Natsukawa, 2.25 stars. I'm Glad My Mum Died by Jeanette McCurdy. Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid, 3 stars. The Martian by Andy Weir, 3.5 stars. Three Dark Crowns by Kendara Blake, 2 stars. Sleeping Giants by Sylvain Nouvelle, 3.5 stars. Sadie by Courtney Summers, 3.25 stars. After Dark by Haruki Murakami, 2 stars. The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides, 3.75 stars. The Queen's Rising by Rebecca Ross, 2 stars. Dracula by Bram Stoker, 4.25 stars. The Broken God by Gareth Hanrahan, 4 stars. Lost Souls by Poppy Z. Bright, 3 stars. A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon, 4 stars. Vampire Weekend by Mike Chen, 3 stars. Waking Gods by Sylvain Nouvelle, 2.75 stars. Yellowface by Rebecca Kwong, 4 stars. Rogue Protocol by Martha Wells, 3 stars. The Future of Work Compulsory by Martha Wells. Octopussy in the Living Daylights by Ian Fleming, DNF. Exit Strategy by Martha Wells, 3 stars. Stormfront by Jim Butcher, 3 stars. Exquisite Corpse by Poppy Z. Bright, 3 stars. Last Argument of Kings by Joe Abercrombie, 5 stars. Any Way the Wind Blows by Rainbow Rowell, 2.75 stars. Crowfall by Ed MacDonald, 4 stars. The Sword Defiant by Gareth Hanrahan, 3.75 stars. Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, 2.5 stars. The Vampire Lestat by Anne Rice, 4.25 stars. The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix, 3 stars. A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson, 3 stars. The Golden by Lucius Shepard, 3.5 stars. The Loki Variations, The Man, the Myth, the Mischief by Cole Johnson. Every Sky a Grave by J. Posey, 4 stars. Beowulf as translated by J.R.R. Tolkien. Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros, 1.5 stars. The Luminaries by Susan Dennard, 2.5 stars. Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson, 3 stars. The Guinevere Deception by Kirsten White, 3.5 stars. The Coldest Girl in Cold Town by Holly Black, 3 stars. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid, 3 stars. The Tyranny of Faith by Richard Swan, 5 stars. And The Book of Eve by Meg Clothier, which I'm currently still reading, so no rating as yet. So those were all the books that I read in 2023. I guess also including the DNFs that I did not read, and if you were wondering why some of them don't have ratings, I don't currently rate non-fiction. And this is kind of spur of the moment, and I haven't really done this in previous years, but I did use the Corpile spreadsheet this year for like the first time. And it does give me some nice, interesting little reading stats, which I might just quickly go through. I definitely had a mixed reading year in terms of the amount of books I read. January, 8 books. February, 13 books. March, 3. April, nothing. May 2. So, yeah, I mean, my worst reading month was April. I didn't read anything in April. Technically, I was still working my way through A Day of Fallen Night, although April is my, like, my bad mental health month, like my depression spiral month. I am, like, the last kind of week of March and like the first couple of weeks of April, I'm just uncontactable as a human being, like I don't exist. April is like my grey month. We're not getting into it. So I'm kind of not surprised I didn't read anything. February I read 13 books. That was technically my best reading month. However, most of that was the audiobook challenge I was doing because I listened to just under 96 hours of audio in 1 week. In terms of page count, November was my highest, and that was 2,752 pages, and I know that's because I powered my way through frickin' The Book That Shall Not Be Named, Iron Flame. I think on average I tend to read between 1.5k and 2.5k when I'm not having an awful month. Like, there were quite a lot of months here, like September only one book. So I also had 2 DNFs, one in January, which was The Butcher and the Wren. It was just bad. I couldn't get more than 50 pages in, but really taking the cake. In June, I picked up Octopussy and the Living Daylights, Ian Fleming, the audiobook version. I think I got like 3 sentences in and I was like, I've got to go. This has got to go. It was the racism that did it for me. It was just the blatant racism. I had to go. I had to get out of there. So the fastest I've ever DNF'd anything, I swear I got less than 5 lines into the book. When you know, you know. So Corpile also helpfully tells me that I've technically read in 2 languages this year. I read 51 books in English and I read 1 book in early modern English because I read Shakespeare. Ah, don't you love a bilingual queen? Pretty even split actually, considering that I wanted to, one of my goals for this year was to like focus more on finishing series or like continuing series. 48% of the books, that's 25 books, were part of a series, and 27, that's 51.9% of the books, were just standalones. Genre. Now this genre breakdown, here is where this gets like wild, because again, I've done so many challenges this year to do with like reading outside my comfort zone, reading audiobooks, trying YA. I don't think it's been, I think it's been detrimental to my reading, if I'm totally honest. Like, go me for like trying to do something different, but my graph is not going to look like this next year. Mark my words. Of the books I read this year, 34% were fantasy, which is only a third, and I'm like, how is it that only 1/3 of my reading is fantasy? It should be like 50% minimum. It's weird that it's not like, it could be 100%, but it's weird that it's not, it's such a small number. I know a third might be a lot for some people, but like, look at me, look at my shelves. 34% really? That's 18 books. So of the rest of them, 8 were horror, which I understand because I did read a lot of vampire lit this year, so like that makes sense why that's skewed that way. And 8 of them were also sci-fi, which again, if I'm making room for like any other genre, horror and sci-fi makes sense to me. The one that doesn't make sense though, the next smallest one, 7.5%, I read 4 contemporary novels this year. It's not for me. It's not for me. It says I've read across 16 different genres. It needs to be like 4. It needs to be like fantasy, sci-fi, horror, and then like whatever the hell the last random one is, you know? I feel like if I'm being objective, like maybe the reason that I've had such a mediocre year in terms of like ratings and things, like so many 3 stars, quite a lot of 2 stars, and I feel like it's because I've done so much branching out, trying other things, and every single time it's so mid. I feel like this might have been the year where I read the most widely, where I tried the most different things. Yeah, I can't say it really works for me. So looking at my ratings, yeah, it's so mid. The Corpile spreadsheet does not 100% match up with my actual ratings that I just gave. So the way that Corpile does it is like it kind of grades it based on how you rate in like a few separate categories. But the thing is, for me, sometimes a book will be so, it'll be fine in most categories, but it might be so egregiously bad overall that I give it a much lower rating than Corpile technically works it out as. Or also, sometimes a book might be quite, it might do things in a fairly mediocre way, but if I have an excellent time with it, or say if one aspect is just so good, like I can only rate it a 10, which is like the highest it can possibly go, but maybe that 10 is carrying the book so much that I've personally given it like a much higher rating than Corpile calculates. So this is according to Corpile. 24 3-star books this year. That's 49%. So essentially half the books I've read this year have just been a 3-star read. Luckily, 13 books, which is 26.5%, so just over a quarter, were 4 stars. 8 books, which is 16%, were 2 stars. I had 3 5-star reads this year. That's only 6.1%, but like, for me, that's pretty good. Before this year, the last time I gave a book a 5-star rating was like right at the end of 2019. So 2020, 2021, 2022, I did not read any 5-star books. So like, I'll take 3. And then I guess one 1-star book. This is not counting my DNFs either. I'm not going to go through this one because like I feel like I'm just reiterating the same thing, but this is how it works, is like if you break it down to like half-star ratings. I even rate in quarter stars, so like again, this is not totally accurate, but what is the colour distribution on this graph? Like, oh, this is the one that I'm kind of interested in. So age category. So allegedly, I read 42 adult books this year, which is 79% of my reading. Fantastic for me as someone who doesn't reach for YA or really want to read much YA anymore. I think at the start of the year I'd kind of predicted this is how my reading would go. 17% were YA. 2 books, which is just under 4%, were new adult, but I'll be honest, some of the books that I read this year, I think were YA and just listed as adult. So in future years I might just take a stand and be like, look, I'm changing your age category. I don't care what the publisher says. I have final say. And I'm not going to read this one out because like it's a massive colourful graph that you can't really see, but I've apparently read from 45 different authors this year. So those are my core pile stats. I feel like I could customise it to make it fit me better, but I feel like I'm also too lazy to do that. Like I'd probably just start from scratch. I guess we'll see by this time next year if I've like kept up tracking any of that. So yeah, this was everything that I have read this year, as well as like a quick little glimpse at like my reading stats and whatnot. I'm not really going to think in too much detail about the stats, honestly. That was just kind of like there on a whim. So that is it from me for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully you're not punishing yourselves by watching these videos. If you did make it this far, leave me some sort of graph, some sort of like pie chart, some sort of bar chart, something statisticky, because I guess. And I don't want to kind of like make any of this like competitive or like anything like that, so like you don't have to tell me the number of books you read, but just tell me in general, like do you feel like you've had a good reading year? Has this been like a naff year? Or like do you think you've actually had like read some good books, read a good amount of books? If you want to tell me the number, like go ahead, but otherwise just like give me a vibe, you know? We're at the end of the year. How do you feel like your 2023 has gone? I'm hoping you've all read some good books and like at least you like hopefully got like maybe one good book out of it, but if not, let me know. We can commiserate in the comments. So that is it from me for this video, guys. Pretty much all the videos between now and the end of the year are just like my end of year wrap up style videos. But from me, I hope you're having a lovely end to the year and I hope you're reading something fantastic to close out 2023. And hopefully I will see you in the next video. Bye!